All right, so let's do a quick review. Everybody hold your Bible up right here. Put our thumbs right in the middle, open it up. In the middle of the Bible, we have the book of Psalms, starting with the letter P. All right, so close it up. And we'll see if we can race to Psalms chapter 1. Go.
Got it. Ah!
Close it up. Let's race to Psalm chapter 42. Go. She was trying to go early. I saw it. All right, read me verse 1.
As a deer pants for flowing streams,
so pants my soul for you, oh God. Let's close it up. Let's race one more time. Psalms chapter 63. Go.
Got it.
All right, read me the first verse.
Oh God. Sorry, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a drought and weary land where there is no water.
Great. All right, close it up. So that's the middle of the Bible. That's Psalms. If you can't remember where a book of the Bible is, you turn over to what? Table of contents. Say with me, the table of
Contents.
Open up to the table of contents. Open up, open up, open up. All right, let's read the first books of the Bible in the Old Testament. Say Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Stop right there. Close it up. What are they? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. All right, so let's try to find Exodus. Ready? Go. Anywhere in the book of Exodus. Found it. So Exodus is book number 2. What's book number 1?
Genesis.
Genesis. Now you remember what Genesis means?
Beginning.
It means the beginning. Genesis means what?
Beginning.
Beginning. What do you think it's the beginning of? Creation, so the beginning of this earth. What else is it the beginning of? When the snake came into the sin, right? So God created things perfect. It's the beginning of His perfect plan, and then it's also the beginning of rebellion, right? And that rebellion is still going on, where people have fallen. So once the rebellion began and sin was in the world, Genesis also charts out the beginning of God's perfect rescue plan, all right? Where He promised that Jesus would come. And it's the beginning of God's special people. Who remembers the guy who's the father of the Israelites? You guys remember? Abraham. All right. All of that happens in Genesis. What does Genesis mean?
Beginning.
The beginning. All right. What are the first books? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So find Leviticus. Go. Genesis, Exodus. Ooh, she's fast. All right. So book number 1 is Genesis, which means.
Beginning.
Book number 2 is
Exodus.
Exodus. So Genesis is the beginning of creation. It's also the beginning of sin. And so people were slaves to sin. And in fact, the special people were slaves to the Egyptians. So the next book is the word Exodus. What do you think Exodus is talking about?
Exodus.
The exit. It wasn't the exit from the library. It wasn't the exit from a highway. It was the exit from slavery. God was working out His rescue for His people, the Israelites. So Genesis is the beginning, and Exodus, boom, God kicked open the door. He kicked open the exit, and the people left and headed for the promised land. Now, this is showing us about how Jesus was coming. He was the promised one who would also show us the exit from sin. All right, so Genesis means beginning. Exodus means... Exit from what?
Slavery.
Slavery, right? It's the slavery for His people, and it also begins to talk about the exit for us, the exit from sin. All right? Let's open in the middle to Psalms. Go. Now I want you to hold the right-hand side in your hands, right in the middle. And if you open up, you should be somewhere around the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. What'd you get? I got Luke. Anybody? Zephaniah. Flip to the right a little bit. Flip a little bit. And you got Matthew. What'd you get? Mark. All right? The Gospels are in the New Testament. They go Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Say with me. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. All right? Close it up. How do you get to the Gospels? You open in the middle. You take the right-hand side and try to get to a Gospel. Go. I found Zechariah. There we go. I'm in Matthew. Matthew. And these were characters that walked with Jesus, or they were living right around the same time as Jesus, and they wrote about Jesus. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. So what is the first gospel called? Which one is it? Matthew. The next one is?
Mark.
And then?
Luke.
And then finally, John. All right, so close them up. See if we can find the book of John. Go. Wow, that was exactly the same time. All right, close it up. Say the gospel with me. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. And the word gospels means good news. What do you think the good news was? Jesus. And so, if you think about the Old Testament, the beginning of perfection and the beginning of sin, God gave a promise, and that promise was that Jesus would come and live perfectly when people had messed it up. So it's good news because he did it right. It's good news because he died on the cross to pay for sins. That's what the gospel means. It's good news when, over in Genesis, what started out as good news, perfection, actually ended up in rebellion. So, let's try to find another one. How about Luke? Go. There we go. And we have a squawk over here. Say the gospel with me. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. What does the word gospel mean?
Good news.
Good news. And the good news is Jesus. He came and lived perfectly like was promised, and he died to pay for sins, and he was raised back to life. All right. Back over to the beginning of the Bible. Say with me. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. What does Genesis mean?
Beginning.
What does Exodus mean?
Exodus.
The exit from sin, right? What's the next book of the Bible? Leviticus. Now, when slaves are set free, they're just standing there. They're supposed to go live their life. So Leviticus is all about the people that God called. He called these people, the Levites, to teach and connect all of these slaves set free with God. God said, I'm going to show you how to live now that I've set you free, now that you've exited slavery. So the Levites were going to show them how to walk with God. So Leviticus is all about a special group of people. What were those people called? Levites. And what was their job?
Show the people how to walk with God.
Show the people how to walk with God. Because once you're set free from sin, it doesn't mean you know how to live perfectly. You need God, and you need people to show you how to walk with God. So Genesis means Exodus means exit from sin, and Leviticus is all about who? Levites showing people how to walk with God. All right, say it with me. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. All right, find the book of Numbers. Go. Woo, very good. Go all the way to Numbers 1. Numbers 1, Numbers 1. All right. Sarah, read verse 2.
Take a census of all the congregation of the people of Israel, by clans, by fathers' houses, according to the number of names.
Stop. All right, what do you think Numbers is about?
Numbers.
Numbers. Now here's the cool thing. When God does stuff, he does it big. And when he kicked open the exit from sin and he said, I'm going to save my people, he wanted them to record some of his statistics, right? So Numbers is sort of like God's stat sheet. It's his baseball card. He was saying, look at what I can do. I can set a whole nation free. And he counted them up. He showed how many people he set free, how many soldiers, how many families, how many clans, how many Levites. He said, look at how big a work I can do. And he wrote down all the numbers. So anytime you get concerned, like, oh no, God can't do something, read his stats. They're in what book of the Bible? Numbers. Therefore, our encouragement. So read the books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. All right? Now, we already got all of God's laws. Which group of people do you think were showing the laws on how to walk with God? It's in the Levites, right? What book of the Bible? Leviticus. So we already got that. But sometimes the people would lose focus. And so God would repeat himself. And sometimes people would lose focus and God would repeat himself. And then sometimes God would lose focus. No, people would lose focus. And God would repeat himself. And he did that in the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy means the law again. The rules again. All the things God has done again. And that's found in Deuteronomy. It's saying, what did God do? Let's talk about it again. What did God want you to do? Let's talk about it again. That's in which book? Deuteronomy. All right, so let's see if we can scoot around to a couple books of the Bible and then we'll be done. Find Genesis. Go. That went too far. All right, close it up. Find Deuteronomy. Go. Lovely. What is Deuteronomy about, Sarah, since you found it first?
It's about everything again.
Everything again. What did God do? Again. what should we do? Again, because sometimes we lose focus and God has to repeat himself. It happens. All right, close it up. Find Mark. Go. Lovely. Mark is part of what group of books of the Bible?
The Gospels.
Gospels. What does gospel mean?
Good news.
Good news. Close it up. All right, find Leviticus. Go. All right, what is Leviticus about? It's about a group of people, the Levites. What was their job?
To show the people how to follow God.
How to follow God. All right, say it with me. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And over in the New Testament, the Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.